Hello and welcome to this edition of the Time with Hime podcast. I am joined with our superintendent, Mr. Hime. How are you?
Hey, it's great. Can you believe it's December?
It is, and we have been gone for 2 weeks, and we're back. I mean, I say 2 weeks because we missed our last podcast.
Just due to various reasons, but
That's
we definitely, and we miss those. I mean, and I've had some people comment, hey, we were looking for your podcast to see your updates. So we appreciate people tuning in. We appreciate that communication, and so glad to be back.
And we always have a good time with you guys, and we have some updates for you. First to start is the COVID summary that we always begin with, and some changes.
Well, sure, that's such an important page to us, and we really, if you can't find it, email or whatever, and we've talked about maybe even moving it to the front of the web page or different areas, because it shows that for the most part, I think we've had one site that had numerous positive cases at the same time, but for the most part, the positive cases at Lawton Public Schools are one or two at each site. Not even every site, but the sites that have them. So it's one of the reasons why you don't see us going 100% virtual. And the other reason is we've always been 100% virtual with almost 5,000 students. So we have that mix, and it gives our parents the choice. But please tune into that site and log on, look at it, and get familiar with it, because we use that site for a lot of our information. The data in that site comes from health department figures. It comes from the positive test reported to our nurses. So it should all be accurate and up to date. And we encourage everybody to look at it and understand. It kind of gives you a better feel for the decisions we make and why we make them.
And you said something about we've always been 100% virtual because our families have that flexibility to choose, correct?
Yes. We started August, and we say this all the time, and gave our teachers and our family the flexibility to choose. Obviously, as school rolls in, you start limiting the teacher's ability to choose, but we've never limited the parents' ability to choose. So, and we've had a few parents with the spike, and some of the numbers are starting to get, go higher or spike around the nation, the state, and somewhat in the community. We've had some move back to virtual, but for the most part, we've had parents moving from virtual to traditional. So those things affect class sizes and some of those things. But we're working every day. We look at those numbers every day. We look at class sizes and try to make the best decision we can make based on the data we have.
Now, two things came up during our break regarding quarantine. One, and I want you to address that, is the quarantine in school that was released while we were out on Thanksgiving. Can you share with our families how that impacts us?
Well, it doesn't. I haven't seen anything about the in-school quarantine rooms or whatever that I see that is something we would do at Lawton Public Schools. I try to never say never. I never say never. That's not a real good way to put it, but because you never want to be totally in a box. There may be something in there that I'm not seeing or I'm missing, and the people I've talked to, same way. But as of right now, the ideal of creating a space for kids to come up and be quarantined, first of all, it doesn't seem real safe to me to put a lot of quarantine students around each other. And second of all, you got to find an adult, who's going to want to watch it. And it's not even instructional, it's just distance learning. So that does not interest us a lot right now, the way that's set up to, first look. But obviously we'll continue to look at it and evaluate it and make sure, you don't want to be closed-minded. We'll make sure there's not something in that ruling or that new rule that could possibly have a positive impact on our students.
Now, before our break, we sent devices home with families, something that we've been working towards with our one-to-one. And if a family member is sick or believes they may have COVID, we want our kids to stay home, correct?
Correct. And that's probably been the biggest challenge we've had, and we've probably mentioned this 3 or 4 times on the podcast, but doing it again. We all grew up going to school sick. I mean, I just never missed work. And when I look back on it, it's like, why in the heck did I come to school work with the flu? I get 10 sick days a year. Stay home. And it's a change for me myself. If I'm sick, I'm running a temperature. We used to say, well, take a couple aspirins or Tylenol or Advil or whichever ones you take now and come to work. And that's not what we should do now. Now we should stay home, and that's just a changed attitude. We've had cases where we've had students or staff members, well, I thought it was allergies, or I thought it was this, I thought it was that. We just have to start erring on the side of we're going to stay home for safety reasons and use our leave for what it was meant to be used for over I need to come to work because that's what we're supposed to do. And that is a changed mentality. As parents, no different. We sent our kids to school. I mean, my wife and I, we didn't let our kids stay home when they didn't feel well. They had to be sick. And how did we determine sick? Well, sick used to be if you can't feel better with some medicine. Now sick is if you have a fever, you have a cold, you have those symptoms. And if you have symptoms, you should stay home at least for 24 hours to make sure those symptoms are not, they don't continue.
Now, the CDC came up with some new guidance regarding quarantines. What can you share with our families?
You know, this is one of the great things we've talked about because the quarantines have probably been more evasive or more troublesome for our student body and our staff than the actual positive test. It's always created the rumors. We'd have one person test positive and 8 people get quarantined, and the rumor would be you had 9 teachers at such and such building test positive, and that's never been the case. But 14 days was an extremely long time for a quarantine. The new rule says that you can quarantines are now 10 days instead of 14, which is 4 less. But if you're not showing symptoms, which we just said don't come to school if you're showing symptoms anyway, if you're not showing symptoms, you can come back after the 7th day if you've tested negative. And you can take that test within 48 hours. So after the 5th day, you can take a test. If it's negative, you can come back after the 7th day. So we have some, if last weekend you tested, you were quarantined, on Friday you could take a test, and if you were clean, you could be back on Monday because you would have your 7 days. We'll put out some more flyers on that, but that is a change for our staff and even our students, because we've always said the CDC has even doubled down on the safest place for kids is at school, face-to-face learning. And if that's true, we need to get them here. And we've had a very, very low number of students in quarantine test positive with symptoms or get symptoms. So we know that although there's some validity as to why the health department does it, we're very thankful that they did some research nationwide and came up with a little better number that fits it. It's still important, according to the CDC, which we have a mask policy anyway, but if you come back before the 7 days, you have to wear a mask all the time. They're saying don't even, we have a little exception. If you get social distance, you can have that little mask break. They're not recommending you allow mask breaks. So if you're back before even the 10 to 14, you wear a mask. But we encourage ours to wear them all the time anyway. And, we've even looked at even encouraging our littles to wear a mask more often because, they say masks work, and we feel like they have been working. So we're working every day to gather data and look at how things are, to do everything we can to keep our students and staff safe.
And we'll have a flyer because we have the 2 versions that the CDC put out.
Yes.
If you choose to take a test after the 5th day and the 48 hours, and then if you just don't take a test because you have the 10 days, that you'll fall into that. But we will put that on our COVID summary page as well, so you guys can see that in our social media.
Yeah, and that's, again, our webpage should be your source of information, and that's something people can share feedback, because sometimes you wonder, it's there, and there's a lot on our webpage such as that. Are you finding it? If you're having trouble finding it, let us know, and we'll simplify that, because sometimes we're techie and we look at web pages all the time. So it's easy for me to find stuff on a web page that may not be as easy for somebody that's not as techie, or somebody who's not. Again, I'm looking on school web pages. I look at school. So somebody who's techie but not school techie. So there's a lot of factors in there. It's not saying, don't think that you're the only one in America that can't find it. If you're struggling to find it, let us know. And if we see that people are struggling to find something, we'll reorganize how it's put out there. And those are, again, some things with our info at lawtonps.org. You can send info at lawtonps.org. You can send those. Hey, I can't find that COVID summary, or I can't find these new guidelines. And we'll try to find a way to simplify that.
Which you just reminded me that we had a call today about our total wellness clinic. How's that going?
Oh, everything I've heard, that is just a home run. People brag on it all the time, and that's a place you can get that test. The way it's set up, if you can go in there and use your insurance or whatever to get that test, and it's really good for our staff because it's open for our staff. And I know when the CDC was rumored to the 7-day, I know we had staff members go down there and get a test that were quarantined so that they would be ready when they changed the rule. So it'll be important. I think it's really busy, and it's been a good place for us because we always say, well, I thought it was allergies. Well, I just thought it was a cough. Well, now you have a way to go get tested, and that's important because we don't want to quarantine ourselves for 10 days because we woke up in the morning and coughed twice. But we also don't want to endanger others or infect others or run that risk because we thought it was just a cold, but it really was the COVID. So this gives you that clarity you need.
And they test for the strep as well and
Yes.
for the flu. So
Yes.
you'll get those 3 tests
So you
there.
get those tests of what you have. And so it's really, so far it's working out really good and we're excited about it and we'll continue to grow that. And hopefully that grows into some kind of total wellness that even we could, in the future, post-COVID, we could partner with our local hospital or whatever and have a forever telemedicine clinic where you could go to get just a quick online
and get in
examination
just to get
and
help.
get in and get out. And, I know a lot of teachers, if they had a place to go during their planned period, they'd love to go just check in and check out and make sure, because nobody wants to be at school if the flu, but nobody wants to miss school. Teachers feel a responsibility to their students, which is awesome. But if it's a flu, a stomach virus, or anything that's contagious, they'd rather stay home. But if they're not sure, we used to always err on the side of coming to work. This does 2 things for us. We should err on the side of staying home, but with the new wellness clinic, we can now confirm, so we're not guessing, and that's a great thing.
Right. Now, this past break at Thanksgiving, we did something for our child nutrition teams and our families with the meals. What can you share about how we're improving?
Hey, we always say we don't have to be bad to get better. This might be one of those we were bad that we need to get better. But it's exciting, and I tell people this all the time. If you're going to do things different and you're going to change things that have a positive for students, there's going to be times when you step out there and do something and you're going to say, ooh, we missed on that. And we did the Monday meals. The government allows us to serve 14 meals. And so we put that out there and we had different people projecting we'll have 100, 200, 300. I said, you guys better do 500 or 600. Well, I should have told them they better do 5,000 or 6,000. So we had people backed up and not there, and it was not perfect. We still serve food. We had people in line way too long. So what we're going to do right now, I'm hearing 11.
Correct.
We're going to have 11 sites open on the Monday the 21st and Monday the 28th of December over Christmas break. So we will have 11 spaces. You can go to any one of the 11. It doesn't have to be the one at your school or the one closest to you. So it should be a lot faster and easier. And the idea is to make it more accessible where people can walk, but it's also to make it where you're not in line for an hour and a half. So here's my challenge. We're going to open those up. Everybody go get some food because it doesn't matter who you are. All you got to do is drive through and say, I got 2 kids. We're giving you 28 meals. And that should work for us. So I would like it to be a problem again because we're going to plan for about 10,000 meals. I'd like it. We should have had 20,000. And because if they're giving it to us, they're giving it to us for you. So get the food, and it gives you. I heard a lot of people. I mentioned it today when I was talking to a group of teachers, and one of them said, "Well, it had chicken nuggets and it had this, and my kids really liked turkey and dressing, and so it had some things in it that gives you the ability to have snack food and things like that you might not normally have around the house." So.
And we used our package machine.
Yep, package machine to package
right.
it. Some of them were frozen meals. It's kind of funny because somebody said, we got these frozen meals, but we didn't get directions on how to cook it.
And they were already cooked, so all they had to do was warm them up in the microwave.
Yeah, I know, but still, for some of us, that might be tough. You don't say how many seconds you got to push that microwave for.
That's true. They had to experiment, but we are going to get better.
And we're always getting better. And so we appreciate feedback on that. And, I'm going to tell you right now, as bad as that was, I got my hats off to the people of Lawton because although we were made aware of the problem, the overall complaints and just negatively was not there. And I really appreciate that because, the thing I always talk about is I can't put a fire out if I don't know it's there. We can't fix it if we don't know it's broke. And I like it when people share information with us because we want to be better. We want to improve the educational experience, the learning experience, and all the social emotional part of it for all of our students, our community as a whole. So when people bring me problems, it's easy to fix them. It's just a lot easier for me to find ways to fix them and be open-minded when it comes to me in a positive manner of, hey, this is a problem, this happened. Then it's such an attack. When it's an attack, human nature for me and everybody else around us, is we get defensive. And then we don't fix the problem, we try to defend the problem. So we work really hard to make sure we're trying to fix problems, not defend them. And I just overly appreciate the fact as community, you guys do a great job of sharing the problem, not attacking the problem. And those are great things for us.
And we're going to have 11 sites, so that's really
11
exciting.
sites, so hey, we shouldn't be in line. But again, if you go and you're in line, Get your phone out, email info@lawtonps.org, and I promise you somebody will get it. I know that when we had that line going Monday, I knew Lynn was on it, and she was calling people because she was texting me, showing the pictures, and we were working virtually in telephone, and you know, Dr. James was out of town working on trying to get it fixed, and so we had a lot going on trying to fix that, and we appreciated, again, people sharing that it wasn't going quite as smooth as we like. You know, what you find out is sometimes you get this, you let one or two people who aren't quite as positive about what's going on have too much of an influence. We have people that want to do great things for our students. We're not getting moaning. We're getting people to volunteer and step up and use those days to work and make that happen, you know, and, you know, so. And hey, I think that on that Monday, we actually had some of our officers deliver meals. So truly, if somebody cannot get out to get the meal, if you'll give us a shout or put it in on info, and we're kind of working on a hotline, and maybe we can get that going. But, you know, things we're talking about doing where you can contact us and say, hey, I can't get out. We'll try to find somebody to get that food delivered to you, those 14 meals. So, you know, the people in this district are just superstars. I have been amazed. So, you know, just a shout out to a lot of our people doing a great job.
Now, any other celebrations you want to talk about? I know we were going to start talking about EMS. So what's going on?
EMS. Hey, anybody been by and look? They can tear a building down a whole lot faster than they can put it up.
That's true. It's coming down fast.
Sometimes that's just fun to watch. I'm sure Bello's done some drone flyovers and got us some good pictures of it. But yeah, that's exciting because when they get that all cleared out and they get the dirt work done and those fields kind of sodded in or seeded in, it's going to change where you can see that beautiful brand new middle school that this community voted to build for Lawton Public Schools. So that's going to be exciting when you can start getting a better view of that, because it's kind of, well, the new middle school's there, but the old one's still in the way. So until you get the old one cleaned out where you can see it going when you're going east on Gore there, that's going to be an exciting move. So we're excited about that.
And it is the holidays, and many of our schools and their organizations are giving back to our community in special ways. So we're really thankful for their partnership. And
unreal food drives and some of the every time I pick up the paper and look, because it is, what's new to me is you don't know everything because there's so many more sites, but I see something every day that somebody's doing. And the ag, I think, gave away food baskets, and we do some things up here, and I've seen some other sites that are raising money or doing different things. ROTC did some things. So it's and I know I left somebody out because there's just so many of them, but it's just like every time I look there's something coming up, so that's exciting as well.
I'm thankful that you have joined us today. We're so excited to be back in class and here on the podcast.
And I'm thankful all the people joined today. And again, I just want people to understand, we are looking every day and we are making decisions. We do talk to Brandy at the health department every day, or just about every day, either in person, on the phone, via text or email. We're working on those numbers. We're trying to keep your kids safe. But if you don't feel comfortable with your student at school, that's why we offer the virtual. So we'll continue to work and do everything we can, because our ultimate goal is we have students we know need face-to-face, and we're going to do everything to always offer that option for those parents and students, as long as we feel we can do it in a safe manner.
Mr. Hime, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you guys for tuning in. We're so excited to have you. Remember to follow us on our social media pages and our website, lawtonps.org, and of course, our info@lawtonps website and email account.
See you next week.
That's right. Have a good one.